Yo, and we are live. It's your boy Brandon, aka DetroitKoolAid, your credential Pistons reporter and writer from Woodward Sports at LCA right now, man. Some of the fans are taking their last shots, man, before they start to shut things down here. And the Pistons shut things down. 99-98 victory over the Atlanta Hawks, and this one had defense written all over it. For a team that's continued to say that their identity is defense, their identity is being able to win despite the offense not being there, they're actually proving that. And there's a lot of people got questions about, are the Detroit Pistons real? One of the truest tests of a real squad is how they strap up on the defensive side of the ball, how they perform when the shots aren't falling. You want to one stat that blew my mind tonight, man? This team shot under 20% from behind the arc tonight. The Atlanta Hawks shot 35% from behind the arc tonight. But the Detroit Pistons came away with the dub. That's what I call gritty, man. Like, look, we're gonna try and get our guy Platte in here as well, so we can start to discuss the thing. But hey, people, as you get in here, definitely start to put in the chat how you guys felt about this game. We did get to go into the press conference and talk to JB Bickerstaff. We got to go into the press conference and talk to Ron Holland as well, who stepped to the podium tonight. And it was interesting with Ron Tony. When I asked him a question in the press conference about, hey, look, man, you guys shot under 20% for the game, but you still found a way to grit this thing out. What's the mentality, the mindset of this squad? He was like, that is the mindset, bro. We don't care about the offense. We don't think about that. We don't take note of that as it relates to how we're shooting. Do we want to make shots? Do we try and take the best shots possible? He said, absolutely. But it wasn't going to be something that they fretted about, and it wasn't going to be something that they allowed to take them out of their identity. On offense, it is always to still touch the paint first. That's what they want to be. They want to be a team that's getting into the paint. And you saw it tonight. They're going out there and they're beating every team that they face in points in the paint, and it's giving them that advantage. In a league where they're telling you that you got to shoot the three, you got to shoot the three, you got to shoot the three, the Detroit Pistons are going out there and proving, actually, we have a little bit different recipe, and it's going to be by what we think best, and that is defense. That, to me, is probably maybe the most proud of this victory tonight. Now, the Atlanta Hawks, it was the second game of back-to-back for them, but it's a good team that's been playing really, really good. And so to see the Pistons go out there, like I say, tough it out, they're themselves, coming back home, this is a good one, man. This is a real good one. But guys already know what we got to do. We got to go through this box score, and I want to start at the top of this thing, man, because Jalen Duren, he's a guy who, as you continue to ask the questions of are the Detroit Pistons real, there's certain things you look at. Defense is going to be one of the first things you look at. Some of the hustle stats are going to be things you look at. But the maturation of Jalen Duren, that's a guy who we all said coming into the season, whoa, he wants how much money? And now it's to a point in the season through 21 games where people are saying, bro, give him the money. Give him whatever he wants. And that's what I liked out of Jalen Duren tonight. I thought he set the tone early as the big man. And he had 21 points and 11 rebounds on the double-double. And he just continues to be efficient. 9 of 12 from the floor. He's a guy who continues to show up in the stats as it relates to double-doubles and shooting a high amount of field goal percentages. But hey, I'm seeing some of the comments come in now. Thankful to win that one. Nice to close it out versus losing as we did the other night. Yeah, I feel that, man. I definitely feel that one. Let me see here. We got some more comments. Let's go. Number one in the East, and Ron was a beast tonight. Ron was the one that actually stepped up to the podium tonight, which was dope to see. You got Jalen Duren, who had the big double-double. You got Cade, who just missed out on another triple-double, 18, 8, and 8. But it was Ron Holland who they sent to the podium because his energy was felt. His minutes out there were felt. And a guy who can go out there and get offense and get points and get things going without actually needing the ball, without actually, or plays called for him, that to me is a sign of a guy, and he said it tonight, who just wants to win at all costs. He doesn't care about his. He just cares about what he could do to help this team win. That's what he said at the press conference tonight, man. Let me keep going down here, man, because I'm seeing all these super chats come in. The internet tonight is a little bit spotty, so I do apologize if there's been any connection issues for you guys, but wanted to make sure that we got on home. We broke this thing down tonight. I'm still waiting for Platte to get in here as well. But shout out to you guys, man. I see that. I ain't say that with the $5 super chat. He says, Kool-Aid, 20-something games in. Is it too early to be thinking, let me see, post All-Star game trade moves, or is this team just gelling and don't want to disrupt that? What do you predict? I think this is the time where you start to at least ponder those things, but I don't think that this is a team that has to go out there and make a move. This is a squad who the jump in elite that we see them making right now has been predicated on the patience that they've shown with their young players. Even me, I was one of those guys who thought maybe we need to bring in another big to be able to pair with Jalen Duren. Now it's like, and this was before when I thought, hey, the level of physicality, the level of play in the paint just wasn't quite there. Now we see Jalen Duren with another year under his belt, just ascending into what many people believe to be an all-star. And so it's like, do you really want to disrupt that? But then there's just the other caveat though. You got a squad that looks like they could be, if not the best, one of the best in the NBA. That's the squad that, do you sit back like the Lions and say, you know what, we think we're okay? Do you sit back like the Tigers and you make minimal, movements? I don't know. Because it's a squad that, like I said before, is showing some good things. But do you go and do you strike? Do you go and say, you know what? Now this squad, they need one more added to this thing to be able to put them over the top. That's something that me personally, I'm like, you know what? I don't know. I like the makeup of this team. I like what Jalen Duren is showing. I can't wait to see what Asar Thompson is going to be able to develop it to. I can't wait to see what a guy like Isaiah Stewart, who we wanted to see in last year's playoffs, one game injured. And what is everybody saying from him to K Cunningham to even some national pundits? They believe the Pistons would have won. I would like to see what Dennis Jenkins can develop into. So it's like this team still has some pieces here that I do believe can contribute, but I definitely get it when you start talking about, what this team can do to capitalize on the new expectations that they've set for themselves this year. So shout out to you. I ain't say that for sitting in that super chat. I think Platte is it. Oh,
shout out. Yes, I
was like, where's Platte at? I was like, where's he at?
Is my sound okay?
Yes. Yep. And my sounding okay.
You're good. You're good. I'm just I'm running through the mic, so I'm making sure it all sounds good, looks good.
Let me give people a view of that court, man. This court is sick, bro.
Yeah,
that
dude.
Kind of
I'm so jealous of you being there.
Horse is
dope. My cat just jumps up. Do you know if they're doing that Saturday? Because I'm going to be at the game Saturday. Is it going to be a City Edition game?
It might be. Oh, so you're gonna be here Saturday? So we're gonna do a live from here then?
Yes, we are.
Let's rock, boy.
Live from the arena, man. I'm excited.
Yeah,
I'm excited.
And look,
he's excited.
I wanted to address this one early. We're gonna come back to this one, so I want to get your opinion on what's on the screen as well. But I want to come back to that one so we can break down a little bit more of this game, because I'm seeing the people get in here. There's some people that are excited for what these Pistons are doing. But Platte, this was one of those grit 'em out games. You talk about nobody scored 100 points or more. The Pistons 99-98 victory, and they shoot under 20% from behind the arc, and they beat a team that shot 35%. Now, I was told, shout out to Neil Rule, Big D Energy. Hey, shout out to our guy Spinny of the heavyweights too. But I was told that you had to shoot threes. You had to have those. Think about this. Not only did they not make threes, but they didn't even had a three-point shooter in tonight. And this team still went out there and punched one of the best teams in the East right between the eyes. Yeah. Like that to me was what was so beautiful about tonight's game. And then they all both stepped to the podium. What up, though? Good to see you tonight, boss. Good to see you tonight. Hey, shout out to the people, man. But yeah, it was beautiful to see them step to the podium and say, well, that's what we play. We're not surprised about that. That was the takeaway that I had from the Detroit Pistons, that this is their identity. This is what to expect. There's going to be nights when they're hitting the threes. There's going to be nights when they're not. But guess what? You got a squad that can still get the dub, man. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't love it. Like, I don't love this whole, like, we're just going to abandon three-pointers and,
they still
score in the
them.
paint
They just
at
didn't
will.
make them.
Yeah, I just, I hear you. I just, I'm never going to be, like, fully bought in on that. Can they win games? A lot of games this way? Yes. They've proven that time and time again. So at this point, it'd be foolish of me to say they can't do it. But I do think, again, it will get trickier in the playoffs when you can scheme better and when, again, a lot more physical play is allowed. So those finishes at the rim are going to be hard. And that's going to be something that I'm gonna get into in a little bit here. But it's one of my, like, key, points going forward in evaluating this team and what they can be this season. But you talked about it, this core. And this core absolutely can win games, and I think they can win games at the highest level if the right pieces are supplemented around them. And I think we've seen that from this season so far, that this team has gotten real wins. Now, look, we do have to be fair to Atlanta. They came off a double overtime back to back, but they still brought it, man. They brought a high energy through and through. They performed very well, and the Pistons definitely had to take this one. This was not one that was given to them. So shout out to Atlanta for that. But the Pistons, man, they were really good. I know there's a lot to talk about. I don't know if you want to run down the box score, but
Yeah.
I do have one just overall thing that I want to
Oh,
get
go
to.
ahead, bro. Yeah, go ahead.
And
And then we'll hit the box score after that.
that is the turnovers, man. And I know we're going to talk about this as we talk about players, but those turnovers have creeped up. So the last like 7 or 8 games, they were under they were under 20 turnovers. The last 3 games, that number has rise. You've seen Kate Cunningham have 8 turnover game. You've seen Jalen Duren have multiple turnovers in a game. Asar. The turnover bug is kind of coming back. And that is something that when you pair it with very poor 3-point shooting, it makes it very difficult to win. The Pistons won this game, and this is a good win. But at the same time, Kool-Aid, I know you and I are both sitting there saying this Piston team could have won this game more comfortably than they did. And that was because of the turnovers. That was because of the fact that they weren't hitting their 3. And when you do both of those things at a tough rate, it just that game gets really, really hard to win. So
Yeah, it's
shout out to
not
the
the best
Pistons for still
recipe for it.
closing it. Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Shout out to the
and
Pistons
you're
for
right.
closing it.
Yeah, definitely. Because and that's my thing. I believe that there are nights when it takes character and guts and grit and all those things to win a game. And yes, those turnovers got to go down. But I'm looking at a squad that's like the lineup is changing every night. You're playing with players that might not even been in a regular rotation last year. You're playing with players that might even been in an NBA rotation last year. And so I do give them some credence there. I believe that the Pistons are still ahead of the curve, but that we still have to be fair to the fact that they have to find ways to gel. They're gonna have to find ways to play together. Like there were certain plays where honestly Dennis and Cade didn't look to be on the same page. But to me it's understandable because you got 2 high usage players. Dennis Jenkins has only played one way. And I do believe that once they start to get that type of stuff, Jaden Ivey minutes on minute restrictions, he still doesn't have his burst or that athleticism back yet. I believe when we see these guys get their legs under them, get a little bit more chemistry, get a little bit more comfortable, I do believe that those turnovers are going to start to go back down again. But then you also have teams that are adjusting to what this team has done early on. Now they're going to get everybody's best punch. Now everybody is I know we said this earlier in the season, like, hey, people are now circling the Pistons. They know they can't go to sleep. No, you are getting everyone's best punch. And so you are 100% right as it relates to the turnovers, because one thing, a Pistons team who wants to be able to know they can win games, even if the shot's not falling, you can't give another team extra possessions. You can't give them the second chance opportunities that the Hawks are getting tonight. Those are 2 of the things that are like pet peeves for me. Obviously, turnovers are going to be a big one, but second chance points, not cashing in on your second chance opportunities while you're giving other people those. Those are things that they will absolutely undermine what this team is trying to do. And when you look at some of the few losses that they have had, it's been really because they've cost themselves. And so, it's good on them that they've been able to navigate, thus far to a 17-4 record, first in the East, second overall in the league. But you're right, when things start to tighten up, because you think the Pistons are the only team that are going to gain chemistry. You think the Pistons are the only team that are going to settle in. There are going to be other teams that do this as well, and the Pistons are going to have to prove as formidable. And the only way I think that's going to happen is they have to give themselves the opportunity right now, because you're not gaining chemistry by having the turnovers. They're going to have to find a way right now to continue to overcome, like how their defense is tied for 4th with the Houston Rockets right now in defensive, efficiency rating. They're going to have to find that type of chemistry with their offense right now, I believe, to continue to bolster them as one of the top teams in the league. Do I believe they can still, fall to no lower than 4th this season, kind of doing what they're doing right now? Yeah. But I do believe for them to go out there and realistically have a chance to knock off a Jalen Brunson in the New York Knicks, to knock off a Trae Young in the Hawks. If he comes back and the Hawks take off, they're going to, and Giannis, who looks like he got some desire to try and make sure this team comes up off the scrap heaps. I just believe this team is going to have to do everything in their power to make sure they're not shooting themselves in the foot. So I agree with you on that one, brother.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Very, very well said. I'm ready to get into the box score, because boy, was there some good games and some games we got to talk about. But there was a lot of good games, man. It's crazy, man. You got to go 11 deep when you do the box score, or 10 deep when it's JB, because, this Piston team is going to play a lot of guys. So we got a lot of guys to talk about tonight. And I love
And
this part of the
yep.
show.
And that's another thing too. You talking about 10 players. So they're trying to do some different things than what's normal as it relates to a rotation and to the roster. So I do expect there to be some growing pains. I do expect this team to have, like, there were some turnovers where it just looked like someone was out of place. There was a play, I wish I recorded it, where Cade Cunningham on this side of the court that I'm on, and in the future I'm gonna see if I can walk the court to be able to show you guys some of these plays and things. But there was a play where Cade Cunningham was going from the top of the key over to the left side, far end of me, and then down into the paint to post, but he kept looking at Tobias, and Tobias wasn't clearing the space. After, like, something happened where the ball went out of bounds, the Pistons were going to reset, he went right over to Tobias. He was like, you're supposed to, like, move around and this, that, and the other. And so it's like I see them still working through these things offensively, because I really believe that JB Bickerstaff's focus to start this year was go out there and beat everybody in the face defensively. I know that they have some basic sets, but if it's still high usage, Cade, the top pick and roll percentage in Cade and Jalen Duran, the top pick and roll percentage team, like I believe that now they're getting into that phase as their team is starting to settle in, where I believe that they're going to start to gain a little bit more rhythm, I think. But you know what? I see Texas Gardner 313. Texas
Shout out, man.
In the chat. He says it felt like a playoff game. It was a tight whistle to whistle. Cade, Icewood. How many threes did they drain? Look, the Pistons didn't drain that many threes tonight, man. And it did feel like a playoff game. Like the last time we saw scores like this for the Pistons, I believe they were playing the Knicks in the playoffs. And that's the thing. You see your squad go out there and be able to tough out these games right after they just went out and scored and beat and won a game where they scored 138 points. You talk about the polar opposites of 138, 135 win the other night, and now you come here and you get the 99, 98. So let's get into this box score. Let's not
quickly shout out to Texagander, man, because he pulled up at the heavyweights. He pulled up on the heavyweights at Black Rock Bar and Grill in Ann Arbor, man. That was a real one, man. He's a good dude, man. He offered me some drinks, but I had a night before, so I had to stick to agua. But next time I'll take you up on that offer, brother. I appreciate you. Appreciate you always supporting the channel, hopping in the chat, big time.
Hey, and shout out to all you guys that are here supporting us. And you know what? The Detroit Pistons won again. Let's celebrate, right? Let's make sure we can push this stream into Atlanta Hawks social media sphere. Go ahead and smash that like button. Go ahead and get the comments going in the actual comment section as well as in the live chat, man. We want to make sure that we can get some Atlanta Hawks fans right here in this stream too. But it's good to see all you Detroit Pistons fans here. And there's a lot of people that are excited about this team that can be constructively critical about this squad because they did win the game. They did a lot of good things. They showed this what I believe to be a sign of a good squad. There were teams that were coming here injured, you know what I'm saying, not really shooting the best, and they would still walk away with wins against the Detroit Pistons in the past. Mm-hmm. And it was because they had this type of depth where they can go into the rotation down into player 8, 9, and 10, and these players all understood what the assignment was. That was what tonight was, an assignment win. Everybody understood, hey, look, shots aren't falling, so we're going to have to get in there, and we're going to have to strap up on defense in a way. So shout out to them, man. Shout out to them. But about to get into this thing. Hey, we got some people going down the wrong tunnel right now. Wrong way. Shout out to the wrong way, my boys. But shout out to the court, too. Shout out to the court. Oh, dog. Let me gather myself, man. Get my composure. But, Platte, first up, I want to be able to shout out Onyeka Okongwu, all right? Because this is a guy who, look at the first half, you see 20 points. You look at the second half, you see 0 points.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. This Detroit Pistons team, they turned up in a certain way, and they attacked anything that moved. But when we go over to the Detroit Pistons box score, I'm going to start at the top of this thing. Cade Cunningham, 18 points, 8 rebounds, 8 assists. He did lead the Pistons and the game with 6 turnovers as well. So I know that's not something that you want to hear from your lead guard, but he did have 5 steals and 3 blocks. So he did try to make up for those turnovers, man. So you got 8 stocks for Cade Cunningham, 8 rebounds, 8 assists, 18 points. And Jalen Duren, 21 points, 11 rebounds, who I believe Jalen Duren set the tone in that first quarter for the Detroit Pistons. Really went
Absolutely.
out there and did a lot in that first quarter and throughout that second half, throughout that first half, man. But what do you got to say about those two, man? Cade Cunningham, 5 steals and 3 blocks. You don't want to see the 6 turnovers. But, man, you talk about stuff in the stat sheet.
Man, I mean, Cade Cunningham, he continues to amaze me, and he sets the tone for a lot of this stuff. We talked about the adaptability, the malleability of this team, the way they can go score 130 in a track meet and win, and have a big lead, and then have it diminish. Where this game, that's just a back and forth slugfest, gritty, grinded out defensive game and still win. How about Cade Cunningham's stat lines, man? He can give you 40 on a night, and he can give you 18, 8, and 8 with 5 stocks. The 6 turnovers.
8 stocks, 5 steals, 3 blocks.
Yes, sorry. 8 stocks. 8 stocks.
Crazy.
8, 8, and 8 is crazy, man. So
that's
Cade
crazy,
Cunningham,
dog.
Great stat line. Obviously, was very locked in defensively. You needed that in a game that was this low scoring. Every defensive possession mattered. And the 0 for 4 from 3, not great.
Shout out
Obviously,
Javonte Green.
I am. Yeah,
That's
I am
Javonte over there. Shout out.
Oh, shout out to Javonte Green, man. Good game from him too. I want to say that when it comes to Cade Cunningham, I am Kool-Aid starting to get concerned about he's missing a lot of makeable threes. And he's never been a world-class shooter. He's had streaky moments. He's had good moments shooting from 3, and he's obviously had bad moments shooting from 3. So I'm not that worried about it, but I wonder when defenses start to just give him more open looks, because, I mean, he was shooting, last I checked, like 18, 19% on catch and shoot threes. So this is something that I am starting to get worried, because it'd be one thing if you're taking these step back, double contested threes, and sometimes it is. It's not always clean looks, but he had a lot of clean looks tonight from 3, and he just could not get them to fall. And in other words, it was a great game. He shot, you take out those threes, it was a crazy efficient game. But even with those threes, it was still an efficient game. He still shot, 50% from the field, did what he did in all the other categories. So obviously still a great performance. But where are you at with Cade in his 3-point shooting?
Yeah, you always want to see him shoot threes, but it had to stop Cade from getting to where he wants to get on the court. If it affected his usefulness on the court, that's where I would probably be a little bit more concerned. I want to see him taking these threes and missing them right now. Obviously, you want to see him making, but this is a part of his game that he's trying to improve and add. And I do believe that if it's something that you by around, the All-Star game, you probably see him take maybe 1 less 3 per game, focus on a different area. But what you saw tonight with Cade, including the shot that really sealed things, is that nobody can really stop him from getting to anywhere he wants to get on the court, especially when you get that reverse spin going. I've been telling y'all, if you go back, you look at these Wilbur Pistons streams, man, for since we've had Cade Cunningham, those reverse spins have been a staple of his game, and now he's making them absolutely lethal. So when you got the midi going, when you got like the different aspects of his game going, he's not a player that's really going to be defined by his 3-point field goal percentage. Now, if you're looking at the true shooting percentage, and if you're looking at different aspects of his game like that, now if those are suffering, that's probably where I'm starting to get a little bit more concerned. But when you see that Cade is responsible for more than half the Pistons' points every night between what he scores and then what he's assisting on, then you recognize that he's going to have that effectiveness. And there's teams that they know they're never going to step back on him. They're not going to try and give him like open shots or anything of that nature. And so, on the season, when you look at Cade Cunningham, this is his second highest true shooting percentage of his career. Last year was his highest at 56.5%, basically 57%. And this year he's at 55.9, so 56% this year. So he's sitting at some of his best true shooting of his career. But I get it with the 3-point adjusted rate. He's actually a little bit better this year than he was last year, which is ironic. Which is just ironic. So I don't know. With Cade, I believe that this is more or less a thing where he's trying to add something right now, you know what I'm saying, to his game, without going overboard with it. But I don't believe that him having a good 3-point percentage, or the aspects of 3-point percentage we see right now from Cade, that doesn't necessarily concern me as much. But you do want to
Yeah.
see him hit those.
Absolutely. Yeah, I just think look, and Eric in the chat is all over it saying Dyson was all over Cade tonight. He'll
Yeah,
have better shooting nights. I agree. That's part of it for sure. I mean, this Atlanta team is one of, you talk about the toughest for Cade to score on. This is probably one of those when you have a guy like Dyson Daniels. But again, Cade, to your point, prove that Cade is Cade regardless, because that possession right down the stretch, they need a bucket to close this game out. What does he do? He gets
yeah.
right to the elbow free throw line jump shot that he loves, and nobody could stop him from getting to his spot. So, I mean, if one of the greatest perimeter defenders in the league in the last several years in the league can't stop him from getting to his spots, it's
Hey,
not
the
the
NBA's
biggest
best
issue.
fourth quarter scorer
Yeah.
this year.
Yeah, I think I think that Cade is in a great position. So I'm not overly concerned about it. These are nitpicks. And the other nitpick I'll add quickly before we get off of Cade, and mention during, is, to me, Kool-Aid, I I know that move looks good and it does actually do a lot of good, but I'm starting to see defenses, smart defenses, be able to pick up the timing of Cade when he spins and kind of just be there when he spins and he spins into traffic. That is one
Mm-hmm.
thing that I think he'll have to kind of keep watching the tape and adding more tools in his belt, because that is a good move. You see him get a lot of buckets that way, but he needs a little bit more in the repertoire sometimes, because a smart team can kind of lock in on that and get some turnovers, because then all of a sudden that paint gets really crowded, or that lane gets really crowded when he kind of spins into traffic.
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, as it relates to the turnovers, that's, man, it's such a touchy feely thing as it relates to
Mhm.
Cade Cunningham, because he has the ball so much, and you look at his turnover percentage, it's lower than other players who have the ball less than him, and so it's like, he
Yeah.
gets the ball more, his turnover percentage goes down, but because he has the ball so much, you're going to see a higher total of assists of
Mhm.
turnovers from this guy. But his overall effectiveness on the game is ultimately what matters, and what he's shown to be able to do in a year where people are blitzing him, where players are sending the double teams, triple teams, hedges. He's out there looking like a player who's about to at least land at second team All NBA.
Yeah.
And so that's what I think, that Cade is going to add something to his game, and then the whole league is going to react to, oh, stop it. Oh my God, Cade is having success doing this reverse spin. Then we're going to see Cade, start to go to some other evolution of his game, or
Mhm.
understand how the Hawks might play him this way, because the Hawks have a
Yes.
lot of rangy, lengthy, good defenders to great
Yes.
defenders. They really do. And I do believe that their IQ on defense is what sets them apart.
Mhm.
So Cade, if he's comfortable, which I thought Cade dribbled more like he was comfortable. Cade dribbled, in my opinion, more as if, he wasn't playing against a team that can get in there and get their hands in the pass lane, and they can
Mhm.
get in there and pickpocket and things of that nature. As things
Yeah.
tightened up, that's where in the fourth quarter we saw that he made a few less of those. He was able to actually get those points. He was
Yes.
more decisive and more quick. And that's what I think is really going to make the difference. I think the move is solid, but I believe being quick, being direct, being concise, that's what's going to help Cade Cunningham even more, as it relates to cutting down on some of those turnovers, being sure of
Yeah.
himself. That's why sometimes, especially in the fourth quarter, I just want him shooting. I told people before, I believe that the way to get more out of Cade Cunningham and reduce those turnovers is to have him
Mhm.
think a little bit less in the fourth quarters. Just have him go. And what do you
Yeah.
see? Fewer turnovers in the fourth quarter. You see that scoring from Cade Cunningham go up in the fourth quarter. So I think that is a correlation, man. Definitely
Yeah.
correlation. Have a good
Absolutely,
night.
man.
Have a good
Those
night.
those
Hey, look, we got
turnovers
Eddie K
are
walking out of here.
look, even if shout out, even if he had just one or two less turnovers, like there's the one he dribbled off his foot, which I think was the third quarter. Like, even if you
Yeah.
just cut that number to 5 or 4, like, you're okay with it given the usage that Cade has. Like, real ball knowers are gonna know that, like, when
Yeah.
Cade has as much responsibility and effect on the game, those 4 to 5 turnovers, yeah, that's not great. You'd like it under 5 for sure. But
Yep.
I would take 4 turnovers from Cade almost every night if he's doing all of the things he's doing and
Yeah.
he's assisting. the way he is. This was the highest number of assists he had in a game by any means, but just his overall ball movement and feel for the game is obviously unreal. So I'm not too concerned about it. These are nitpicking things. Look,
No, I
Kool-Aid,
want
this is
to
what
add
you have
to
to
it.
do when you have a Nike signature athlete. You know what I mean? You have to kind of really dig for some flaws. It's
Well,
tough.
yeah, and
It's
for
tough. We're
me,
getting used
like
to it.
where I would get more hypercritical, at least for me, like in terms of how I assess the game, it's gonna be more or less what he's doing in those fourth quarters.
Yeah.
Is he going out there and scoring? Are the mistakes getting less? Is he going out there and pressing the issue? Is he beating the double teams? Good to see you, boss. Those are the things that I'm looking to see out of a Cade Cunningham. And if those things aren't there, if he's not our guy, the one we can depend on, if he's not scoring but he's having turnovers, if the defense is waning, things of that nature, like that's where then I would probably criticize him more. Like if he had 5 turnovers, I know people probably gonna kill me for this or hate me for this. If he got 5 turnovers through quarters 1 through 3, but he has no turnovers in the fourth quarter and 10 points in that fourth quarter, I'm not really harping about those 5 turnovers, especially when I kind of know how those things go with the usage rate and things of that nature. So that's kind of what I'm looking at least as it relates to him. And when I do get more hypercritical, is about who is he as a closer, because we saw Jalen Brunson struggle through the playoffs, struggle through some not through the playoffs, struggle through some of those possessions with Asar Thompson. In some games it looked like, we got Jalen Brunson down, and then the fourth quarter hit, and then what happened? And that's what I'm saying. Like if we got our guy, if Cade can at least be that, because we know that teams are going to do things to try and disrupt who he is as a player, just like we were able to do in some of those games against Jalen Brunson. But when that fourth quarter turns, are you unstoppable? When that fourth quarter turns, are you making mistakes, or are you the reason why your team has the ability to cash in on every single possession that they have offensively? Are you a part of the reason why your team is not going to slouch on defense? And so far this year, Cade Cunningham has been that a whole lot more in this fourth quarter than we even saw during the playoffs last year.
Yeah, I think that's right, man. I think you nailed it. Fourth quarter execution, and so far, look, he's led the NBA in fourth quarter points. So, I mean, really, he's doing all he's really doing all you can ask, pretty much. But yeah, I think I think there's just a few things he just irons out. And look, with all the development we've seen from Cade, there's no reason to expect that development that I'm asking for, that nitpick that I'm asking for, isn't going to come to fruition probably within this season. So I'm excited, man. His counterpart though, Jalen Duren. You ready to talk about Duren?
I'm ready to talk about Duren because this guy is more than someone who's just going out there and getting 21 and 11. We've had players in the past who we've seen go out there and grab double-doubles. We've had some of the most prolific double-double players in NBA history. Especially when you think back to a guy like Andre Drummond, who I am not as hard on him as a lot of other people, Platte. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
but when,
I'll wear that.
But when you look at, but when you wear that like a
badge on.
I'm about to say, let me stop. Listen, but Jalen Duren's 21-11 is tone setting. It's offense isn't just being made for him anymore. There were times where he was getting the offensive rebound because it was crazy how the Hawks were blocking him out tonight. If you go back and you look at this tape, you're going to see him grabbing rebounds while they're pushing him out of the paint. And he's not going over the back. He's just jumping straight up, grabbing the rebound, keeping it high. When he brings it here, his elbows in, like someone's been working on the technique. I see it, big fella.
Yeah,
I see it. And he was securing important rebounds. He was doing it in traffic. He was doing it with people slapping all over him. He's not. We talk about the fouls Cade don't get. I know JD's never going to get these calls, but they're hanging on his arm. I swear he's doing like they're on his biceps, and he's like getting a workout while he's going up for the rebound.
I've seen him mean mug the ref. I've seen him mean mug the ref.
Yeah, because he's getting pissed. But that's the thing. I don't think they understand, though. They've awoken a sleeping giant who now realizes, oh, that doesn't stop me. Oh, that doesn't bother me. Oh, I'm still going out here and dogging on y'all. And then when you talk about offensively, this is a guy who can go out there and make his own offense now. From the top of the key if he wants to. From the defensive end, grabbing the rebound off the court and pushing it down. And he's doing it in a manner in which we're not like, no. You remember those plays when Drummond used to take off with the ball? It was like,
you're like, all right, big fella, relax.
But with Duren, you saw a guy who went out there. He's confident. He's confident. He's confident in himself, man. And
Jose Calderon, come get your man. Go
Come
get
get your
your man.
mans. Brandon Jennings.
Yeah,
Get your
shout
boy.
out.
Yeah, no, but
This is
that's what I'm
legend.
saying, man. That's what I'm saying. It's like we see a Jalen Duran who is absolutely going out there and sure of himself and understanding of who he is out there on the court. And I think that he set a tone tonight in that first half for this Pistons team that needed it. Cade started off with a little bit of the struggle bus. Hey, have a good night tonight, sir. A little bit of a struggle bus tonight with him. Got some Atlanta Hawks players. They're still getting out of here tonight, man. It's been a night, yo. I think we saw Natalie
Long
Kieran
day
and
for
some others,
them.
but but talk to me about Jalen Duran because I see Grim said JD got a crossover now, man.
Yeah,
I'm
that
seeing people
play.
Daddy about to get pissed. Hey, yes he is. Yes he
He
is.
is
That boy, give him his 30, whatever
100%.
you want.
Yeah, signed, sealed, deliver. Forget about that first episode we recorded, Kool-Aid. but no, this guy Jalen Duren has been balling. I'm glad Grim brought up the crossover because that is just like, dude, you don't see that. Like he did what a guard does. A guard will dribble in the paint, dribble out of the paint, and then just kind of fake and then cross back baseline, drive, and finish. And that's what like quick guards. That's what like TJ McConnell does. That's what that's what Dennis Jenkins on this team would do. Like Dennis Schroeder. Like that's the play that they're making. This is a 7-foot giant doing this. An absolutely sculpted piece of marble like Jalen Duren. It's
Wait,
truly
no,
insane.
Black Thor.
Black Thor, yep. Boar. Shout out to Boar. I think that what Jalen Duren is doing is so special because Kool-Aid, you talk about it, and that's what separates him from other centers, from most other centers in the league, right? It's because that is, if you look at it from a pure factual perspective, he created a shot there. There was not a shot to be given. This wasn't, again, not to dog on Andre Drummond. Sorry, it's just we were talking about you. But
It's
this
real,
isn't just
bro. Jalen
you
Duran
tipped it
is
in.
no,
You
for real. Just
create
before
a
you
shot.
go. Yeah, no, what I was gonna say just before you go is it's like Jalen Duran is the reason why anybody who like look, I'm never gonna just dog Andre Drummond, but in terms of what we now see, Jalen Duran scratching that potential, the lore of what Andre Drummond once was as third team All NBA, as an one-time All-Star, those types of things, it feel like Jalen Duran is about to make that look like a has-been. To
Yeah.
your credit. So it's like whether you want to dog Andre Drummond or not, whether you're a supporter of his or not, who Jalen Duran is realistically, I think, about to really diminish a little bit
Yes.
of what Andre Drummond was up until this point because it was bleak, bro. Like this is the first Pistons team that actually has a possibility to cash in on back-to-back playoff appearances since 2007, 2008, 2008, 2009. That's insane, bro. That's a long time ago.
Yeah.
That's a long time ago. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that Jalen Duran took a step that's probably about to get him paid a whole lot more than $30 million a year.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because again, when you can create your shot as a center, how many people can do that, Kool-Aid? You have Jokic, you have Sengun, and then you have Embiid when he's healthy still, obviously that's diminished returns now, but when he's healthy, still a bucket. Bam, like that's kind of it. Like you have this class of centers that is very small when it comes to they can create their own shot or create for others. And it's just something special that Jalen Duren is doing. And it helps his Piston team a lot because we talk about it all the time, Kool-Aid. This isn't the greatest half-court offense. This isn't probably ever going to be, at least with this core, unless they make significant strides, this probably isn't ever going to be a top 5 offense in the half court. It's just not. But they know their skill sets. And so what Jalen Duren could bring something like this, add something like this to a play that was just a dead play. Normally the center gets the offensive rebound. And if he doesn't put it up right away, what does he do, Kool-Aid? He looks for that point guard to just throw it out there, reset the clock. Maybe the point guard ISOs, maybe small action. That's it. Jalen Duren was able to just, I got this, create something out of nothing against Okongwu, who, as we said to start this show, he's not no
He
hoe.
was cooking
Like
in that first half,
yeah,
and
he's a
defensively,
good
like I
player.
said, the Hawks, they take a page right out of the Detroit Pistons book. That's why Trae Young goes down. They enter Jalen Johnson, and that team is still off and running, man. Like they're still one of the best.
Yeah.
They're one of the best teams in the East. They look better this year than they did to start last year. And a lot of it has to do because they got a lot of young, hungry guys who play defense first and can go out there. And this is what I do like about the Hawks. Because Nicole Alexander, he kind of went off tonight, man.
Yeah,
You know,
he's
from
been
behind
going
the arc.
off.
Yeah, he and Jalen Johnson in that second half really, really, really stepped it up as well.
Yeah.
Those guys are going to get it. Nikhil Alexander Walker always, just for whatever reason, just has games against us, man. That's just who he is. I believe that the Pistons made a decision to make the Hawks beat them from behind the arc, and I think that that decision paid off well. They packed the paint. They decided to play straight up, man up, and there's a couple rotations where Nikhil Alexander Walker found himself wide open. There was a couple times, the antithesis to that, where Dyson Daniels found himself wide open. And what do you think was the result? Break. So it seemed like it was a part of the game plan like tonight where they were really, really playing compacted. Because if not, the Hawks have a lot of those rangy guys who can get downhill just like the Pistons do, and they can get into the paint. They can cause some issues as it relates to getting to the free throw line and putting fouls on your players. And so I thought they did a really good job at that, at effectively packing in that paint, which Duran is he plays a role in that, and forcing everything to the outside. But there were some benefactors of that, and one of those guys was Nikhil Alexander Walker. And then Jalen Johnson, you know, this is a player that I just like, man. You like when you look at a player, you like players that play the right way. And he takes that matchup with Cade Cunningham seriously. They both talked about each other, and I know Cade is also giving his props to Dyson Daniels as well for him being one of those players that makes him a better offensive player because of the defense they employ. But Jalen Johnson, he's no slouch. Like I said, this Hawks team is looking like a squad that has his chemistry and his legs underneath him early on, just like the Pistons do. And a lot of it has to do with who he's been as a player. So when I see those two guys go out there and they do what they do tonight, I'm not surprised. Okongwu, I was a little bit like, yo, y'all really let him go off tonight? Not that he's a slouch, but he's not. He shouldn't be that. 20 points and a half. So it's like that one was the one that honestly kind of concerned me. But
he's been kind of balling recently, though, Kool-Aid. I mean, honestly, and he had a good game against the Pistons last time, too. So, like, I think he's been one of the guys that's just kind of stepped up in the absence of Trae Young and Kristaps. He's been phenomenal. And that's a guy, look,
if you're about Kristaps.
Yeah,
the Hawks could get really good this year if Trae Young doesn't kill the chemistry.
They absolutely could. They really can. I think they would be a very interesting playoff matchup for the Pistons if that were to align. I think, you know, not to make this about the Hawks, but quickly just going back to Duran, if you're building a prototype center to stop him, I mean, Onyeka Okongwu is probably one of the like 5 centers in the NBA. You're kind of picking somebody that's lengthy, somebody that's big, quick on their feet. Hustles hard, and that's a guy that Duran is still able to just physically push over and pose his will, and then at times just demoralize him with a little turnaround jump shot. Remember when he tried to get his footing right, he couldn't get it right, and he was kind of just pivoting, lost his balance, and just said, all right, well, I got enough balance to just turn around and shoot this little fadeaway, and it looked clean. And so it's just like Duran's added so much offensive skill, and we really can't bring it up enough because it's truly special. Yeah,
look,
you can't understand
something that he's worked at. It's and remember, like over the last few years, these are things that I've been able to document and track and post to socials, Woodward socials at DetroitKoolAid, as well as at Woodward Pistons. And that's what it was. It was Duran working on these types of things in the extra shoot around. So they go through 2 hours of organized, controlled, and closed off practice to the media. We're sitting up in the media room and we hear them going crazy, dog. And then we are able to come down, and it's supposed to be 30 minutes, but they're usually in there for at least an hour, hour and a half after the 2 hour practice. What has Jalen Duran been working on those 2 years? Free throws, 3-point shooting, handles. Like, they don't just hand him the ball and have him bloop and then go around and for a layup. No, they had him cross and doing things. Yeah. And when we used to post this, people would say, oh, he's not practicing free throws. Why is he not practicing post? Why is he It's like, bro, guys, listen, I swear to you, he just went through 2 hours of whatever the strength and conditioning and development and this and that. He did that. Now he's here in individual workouts, what he's going to do to work on to add more to his game. And all of a sudden, we can see the potential. To see what he's doing this year, I promise you, I don't know where it got that good. that we saw the chops for Jalen Duren to be able to be like this in practice, but for him to just start the season like this, I think this is why JB Bickerstaff started off the season at media day, praising the work that Jalen Duren put in during the summer. He said that young man been working. He said this is all him. Yeah, like he was like, y'all gonna see. This is before we saw a game. It was almost as if JB Bickerstaff was like, I told you I'll give that man that $30 million. And now you see what Jalen Duren is about, man. So I'm actually glad that we spent the time to actually talk about Cade Cunningham and Jalen Duren, which can be easy sometimes to do.
Yeah.
But we're talking about a star who's transcending to a superstar in Cade Cunningham. We talk about some aspects of his game, how he affected it all over the court, and some aspects of his game to get better so he can continue to improve his play for this team, as well as pointless conversations like who's the top players in the NBA. Those things matter, and people start to look at those types of numbers. You want to see Cade's turnovers go down a little bit. But, when you look at this tonight, the Pistons sent the Atlanta Hawks from tied for 5th in the East. They could have went, if they would have won tonight, they would have moved into a tie for 4th place in the East. Instead, they sit in 7th place after the loss tonight to the Pistons. That's kind of like the parity in the East right now. Everybody's kind of on top of each other, just kind of bunched up, unless you're the Pistons, who are up by 3 games, bro, over the next team.
It's cool. It's cozy up here. We got our feet up on the table. Made ourselves at home. Shoes off, of course.
All right, let me run through this thing here, man. Tobias Harris, after a big game previously, a little cold tonight. 9 points, 2 of 14 shooting. He took his threes. He didn't really make them. 7 rebounds. But I thought that it was just the aspect of grit that he showed tonight. This was one where we know the 3-point shooters they were not hitting the threes. As much as we were like, yo, Tobias is on fire last game. So what did I instantly turn my eyes to? Are you getting cooked on the other side? And he wasn't. Was there some plays you would have liked to see a little bit better result? Yeah. But in terms of who I know Tobias Harris to be, I thought that Tobias Harris still, like the rest of this team, sacked up on the defensive side of the ball and said, we're going to make every single possession difficult for you guys, to the tune of you're scoring 98 points. 98. Yeah. That's 14 points better than their 4th, highest defensive rating in the NBA. So Tobias Harris, 9 points. Asar Thompson, as we get through just the starters here, 8 points in 30 minutes, 3 or 4 shooting from the floor, 7 rebounds, 1 assist for him as well. And he put up a couple stocks, 1 steal, 1 block. And then Dennis Jenkins, 3 of 16 from the floor, 0 of 8 from behind the arc. JB Bickerstaff said he did not envision that happening with the chuckle to start his press conference. But he did put up 6 points. He hit a big shot there in the 4th quarter. It was a little turnaround off of a rebound that he secured. He skied high for that rebound, dribbled out short corner to the McDyess zone, and just shot it and it went in. It was awesome. But he did do some other things to stuff the stat sheet here. 8 rebounds, 6 assists, only 3 turnovers for him tonight. Yeah. And you know what? We talked about that offensive rebound that he skied high to get tonight. Well, he was second on the team in terms of offensive rebounding behind only Jalen Duren, who grabbed 6 rebounds tonight. So those are your starters. Is there anything that you wanted to be able to highlight? Because I thought that Dennis Jenkins, in a start like this, you want to see people make their shots, but I thought he was pretty solid and steady on both ends of the court tonight.
Yeah, I think it really says something when you can say Tobias and Dennis, they didn't have bad games, and then you look and they combined 5 for 30 from the field, and you're like, but no, it was honestly, it was really everything. Not to placate to the home crowd here, but they really did do everything but make buckets, and sometimes that is all it comes down to. But for a lot of players,
take care of the ball, like you called out earlier.
Yes, and take care of the ball. Like this is a team that, man, look, you are going to have to beat them. They don't often beat themselves. So one thing they beat themselves on is turnovers and sometimes offensive rebounds given up, like second chance points. But they were great on second chance points tonight, and on turnovers they were obviously. This was another rough game, but overall, I mean, this Piston team doesn't do a lot to give you a win. You got to go in there and you got to earn it. And Dennis and Tobias are great examples of that. They gave you good quality minutes, even though, yes, they shot atrociously from the floor. But none of their shots looked bad or out of place. Maybe a few here or there, but nothing crazy. And then Asar, Asar was fine tonight. 8 points, 3 of 4 from the field, just a very low maintenance, but again, just being there and making all of the positive plays defensively, hustling. He was fantastic. So to round out the starting five, yeah, nothing flashy, but ultimately you will take it when you got two of your expected top scores next to Cade Cunningham and Jalen Duren, shooting 5 of 30, and you're able to pull out a win. That means that there was definitely some extra positives. They were definitely bringing more to the table than just their shooting.
You preaching over there, man, and it's interesting when I look at this box score because though the Pistons shot 20%, 19% actually, to the Hawks 35% from behind the arc, they actually outshot the Hawks in this game 44% to 43%. That meant
Wow.
that the Hawks 3-pointers, yes, they were dropping tonight, but it was because of necessity. They
Mhm.
forced them out there behind the arc to the tune of 30 shots. A third of their shots came from behind the arc. They meant that 2/3 of their shots looked like bricks heading up to the rim tonight.
Yeah.
Everything inside the arc. That's why I told you the game plan, it looked very intentional by the Pistons. We're
Mhm.
going to literally beat you in the face tonight. That's what's going on. We got cold steaks and we'll smack you in the face. That's what they did tonight to the Atlanta Hawks. And if the Pistons can win those types of games, mind you, their 3-point shots, I think if Duncan Robinson plays tonight, maybe they see a couple of those go down and things look a little bit different. Maybe they're
Yeah.
sitting at 27 or 32% from behind the arc if you get a Duncan Robinson in there. But for this
Yeah.
squad to go out there and do it this way, it was just like, you know what? I don't know. It was something gritty. It was something gritty, something 04, 05, 06-ish about this win tonight and how they did it,
Yes.
man. So
100%.
I definitely, man, I tip the cap to him, man, for because the Hawks are not a slouch team either. The
Yeah.
Hawks are a team that we see them come in and they give the Pistons a difficult time every time they play because they want to play defense too. That's why I wanted to be able to make sure we at least call out the fact that Dyson Daniels is just tough, bro. He's tough. He's tough. Like
Yeah, man.
Jalen Johnson
Yeah.
is proven to be one of those next up players.
Yep.
Absolutely. He was a guy who in the offseason, people are like, oh, yo, we can get Jalen Johnson. Yo, maybe he's on a trade. Atlanta Hawks, bro. If
Never.
y'all get rid of Jalen Johnson, y'all are crazy, dog.
Yeah.
You mean if you
No.
do, throw him over here to Detroit. I promise you, he'll fit in quite nicely, man.
That's why.
But
That is why Jalen Johnson is why the Hawks are like, Trey, you sure that ankle's good, man? Take your time,
Trey,
man.
take your
Take your
time.
time, man. You're good. You're
And you know
good,
what
man.
though? They would have never did that with Cade and Dennis,
No.
but they did that with Trey. That's wild to me, man. But let's get to
Yeah.
this bench. Isaiah Stewart, another one of those guys who
Yes.
puts up some of the most interesting stat lines, man. You see the points, and
True.
you might just say, okay, 6 points, still 3 or 4 shooting from the floor. But then you scroll over and you see 10 rebounds and 5 in your face blocks, bro. 10 rebounds and 5. That's the Ben Wallace special right there. 6
Absolutely.
points, 10 rebounds, 5 blocks. Talk to me, Platte.
Man, look, Isaiah Stewart, man. If you can nitpick one thing about Jalen Duren's game, it would be that tonight, okay, no stocks. You didn't get steals, you didn't get blocks. You were absolutely a physical force, but you didn't get those stocks. And we brought up stocks so many times here, Kool-Aid, because that is so essential to what this Pistons team is. This Pistons team relies on getting turnovers, and a lot of those blocks doesn't necessarily guarantee possession, obviously, but a lot of times the
Yeah.
Pistons are turning those blocks into fast break buckets where they have some of the best athletes in the NBA. So they're obviously getting out and running and doing it and scoring at a very high rate. So this was a game where, Isaiah Stewart, man, it's such a blessing to have them both. And it's almost like whatever you pay Duran or Stu, as long as they're together, you'll get your money's worth. Like, because of the fact that they are able to kind of just really greatly, at the very least,
They complement each other
swap
so
each
well.
other. But yes, like you said, complement each other. Like, more importantly, we saw some of the best Pistons games this season were games when Stu and Duran started. So I mean, but at the very least, Isaiah Stewart can come in when Jalen Duren isn't playing well and protect the rim. I will say I want to see an Isaiah Stewart 3 fall. It feels like it has been a minute, but he was shooting at a hot clip to start. So, I'm not nitpicking here, but no, it was a great game from Isaiah Stewart, and this is time and time again why.
No,
I think if you poll GMs around the league, Kool-Aid, I think they're saying that Isaiah Stewart is probably one of the top 5 best contracts you have in the NBA right now.
and I was telling people this, man. I was trying to fight the good fight, and I understand it's tough to fight the good fight about the value of a contract when your team is winning 17 and 14 games.
Right.
And this guy is the first of all your young drafted players to get the contract as your longest tenure Piston. And you got some faultiness with Cade Cunningham and the injuries and all those types of things. I can understand where people were at, but I continue to tell people Stewart was the heart and soul of this team. He is who you pay. I got ripped early on for saying Stu is not a starter. He's a Tasmanian devil. You let him come off the bench, like the Pistons used to do with Corliss Williamson on offense. They knew. Let him come in. And like T-Fall says, he likes the guys with the big butts, right? The Lions got to get some big butt players. He said the Pistons needed something. He said they did them when they got Paul Reed, and now Jalen Duren's playing like a big butt player. It was like that's what Corliss Williamson was to the 04 Pistons on offense.
Right.
I always thought that Isaiah Stewart should be that, and now he is that for the Detroit Pistons from the defensive side. So when they bring him into the game, it's just go out there and just wreak havoc, bro. Whether you score or not, your job is to go out there and make sure, like their motto is that everybody who touches that paint knows that they're there. And to me, when you go and set that as your identity, that means that people are going to have to think twice. As the game goes on, it's like David Montgomery of last year. Let me just use last year's Lions, how they used to wear down defensive lines of the other team during the regular season on the way to 15-2. We won't talk about how that ended. But it was because they were going with David Montgomery and just literally like pounding away. And then all of a sudden, that second half, you start to notice that other squad wasn't ready to stop the home run hit of a guy like a Jahmyr Gibbs. And I think that when you got a guy like Isaiah Stewart who's just going out there and like, yo, I'm really like my team told me I can be a superstar at just playing defense. Not that he can't shoot three, not that he can't play offense. I think that is what you're seeing out of Isaiah Stewart. And you're seeing him go out there and having a crazy impact on the game. And I do believe he is altering people's, by the second half, he's altering what people are trying to do as it relates to getting to that paint. I really do.
Yeah. And look, he's seen Kool-Aid. It wasn't tonight, obviously, but he's given us great scoring output, great offensive output, too. We just talked about how much, maybe not stat sheet stuff or defense stuff that he brings to the table. Well, I mean, his patience in the paint off of getting the ball in a pick and roll or an offensive rebound is unmatched. His just tenacity to go up and up and up again and just keep working until he either gets a foul or a bucket. His finishing around the rim is some of the best on the team. And I think Isaiah Stewart has been just a phenomenal player for the Pistons, to not only tonight, but this season. And this is why, look, I will take these stat lines from Stu every single game. If the eye
10
test,
boards, 5 blocks.
Yeah. If the eye test also matches what I'm seeing, then I am all good with Stu doing these type of stat lines. So I think these type of players can get lost on a lot of people, but I see a lot of ball knowers in the chat, man. Shout out everybody in the chat. Texagander, J Moke out here, talking about how great Stu is. Like real ball knowers, they know that Stu is an impact.
He said, preach Kool-Aid. Stewie is definitely a Tasmanian devil. He is. It's just hecticness. When he gets to going, you better get out the way. That's just how it goes with Stu. And I believe, now they're in a position where they're able to watch his minutes, keep him healthy. He played the most amount of games he's played in the season last year. And he also had his most efficient season with his most steals and blocks. And guess what? This year, he's on a pace to be better than that, while also proving to the rest of the league that he's one of the best paint and rim protectors in all of the NBA. That's our Isaiah Stewart. So shout out to him, man. Straight up, you talking about being the first player that, one of the first players, I believe that Troy Weaver said we have to have. They didn't have the first round picks. They went and traded and they said we need this guy, and they went and got him. And a lot of people didn't like some of the things that were involved, what we had to do to get Isaiah Stewart. But I bet you some of those people don't even remember what we did. and they just know Isaiah Stewart is worth having on your team right now. So,
Absolutely.
shout out to him. I'm gonna save Ron Holland for last off the bench. Devontae Green did get 6 minutes. Not many stats, but you just talk about a guy who just continues to just stay solid with his minutes. Jaden Ivey,
Yep.
14 points. 14
14
minutes.
minutes. I wish
0
14.
points. 0-4 from the field. And it's still for me with Jaden Ivey. I just think that he's getting back in the game shape and game condition. And this is the one thing. I think we're still waiting to see what game shape and game conditioning for post-injury Jaden Ivey is. Because there's drives when he's getting downhill. And in the past, this is like, you're liable to be dunked on. But I'm not even seeing them get up enough to even smack out on a layup on some of these. And so I do believe that some of what we see with Jaden Ivey is him getting the strength back in his body. I think that we're not going to see the explosiveness and the speed that we're used to with him for at least half this season. I think that this is a situation where Jaden Ivey, if he's a basketball player, is going to be him being a little bit more crafty. And I believe that is what we see going on right now. Is him trying to do what he's used to doing, but his body is not able to get him there. And him having to find ways to be just a little bit more craftier and be in his bag to get the job done on the offensive side. But I do like the fact that the Pistons, instead of just forcing, the square into the circle, square peg into the circle hole, I love the fact that the Pistons are saying, you know what, we're going to continue to stick with what works. Dennis Jenkins right back into this. We're going to go back to the lineups that we saw working. And Jaden Ivey, we're not abandoning you. We're still going to give you the opportunity to go out there and work and get NBA action and work with your guys. And every time he was coming off to the bench, as they do with all the guys, yes, they're clapping and everything, but it was cool to see the whole bench get up and really, 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 really clap their tails off for Jaden Ivey when he was coming back to the bench. So I think that they recognize he's still working through things, but you want to see him continue to get better and better and better and better because Jaden Ivey was a guy that some people have fringe star aspirations for, including myself, and you want to see him be able to get back to that.
Yeah, I think you said a lot of what needed to be said with him, and I will kind of phrase it in a way that makes sense to people. This is going to sound like a cop out, but it's really how I feel. I think you have to give Jaden Ivey a lot longer time than you would normally be prepared to have like a full evaluation of him, because he is coming back from his injury. And look, they aren't giving him just 28 minutes a night and saying go nuts. They're giving him pretty consistently 10 to 15 minutes tops, regardless of how he is performing. And so I think that when you're doing that, it really slows down the process of ramping yourself up, of like getting back into shape. We see a lot of star players, and there are minute restrictions, but usually Kool-Aid, what do they start at? They start at like 20 or 24, and then they cap at like 28 or 30 after a couple games. And next thing you know, by the next week, they're back to their regular 32, 34 minutes a game. So I think that with Ivy, they're definitely choosing a much slower approach, and I'm okay with that. But I just want to stress to the viewers, the people that Ivy is very controversial to, that it is going to take some time, and I'm willing to give it that time because, look,
shout
obviously
out
we're in
to
a great
Platte,
position.
boy. Thank you. I'm looking for the people who are willing to give Ivy that time, who have not jumped off the ship yet.
And look, the Pistons could do it because they're first in the East, and they have not a obviously an amazing lead, but they have for now, all things considered, 20 games in, to have a 3-game lead is a pretty nice cushion. So this is a team that's clearly going to be competing in April and May, and so with that, they have the ability to kind of slow roll this. And so I'm looking at this as, I don't really care what Jaden Ivey is doing in November. I care what he's doing in April and May when this team has a chance to make a real deep playoff run. Can he be that X factor that kind of gives you a little more pop?
Can he be the acquisition at the trade deadline effectively?
Yeah, in a sense, yeah.
And
like
I don't mean by trading
really,
them out. I know that's where some people's minds go, and that's always a possibility. But by the trade deadline, can he be what you're saying? And I do believe
can he be that. Can he be the clear cut starter next to Cade by February, what is it, like 15th or whatever the trade deadline is? Can he be that? Because if he is that, if you're adding a legit number two, not two as in score, but as in starting guard position next to Cade Cunningham, then yeah, that's like a good acquisition that this Pistons team could have at the deadline. Everybody's going to look at, the superstars, and the Pistons will too. They're going to do their due diligence. We don't need to go in on that. We've talked about that extensively. But if they could kind of look at Ivy as an acquisition of like they are bringing him along now and, and slow rolling this, and he's playing his best basketball in March, April, May, dare I say June, you're very, very happy if you're a Pistons fan. I'm looking at that. I'm looking at that. I said it. I said June.
Tell him June, boy. Tell him.
I said June, man. We gonna be looking at Denver. Okay, see, I've never been to Denver, so I love to go to Denver. Let's go to.
Oh, you want to go to the Mile? You want to go to the Mile High? Get Mile High.
I do not partake. But brother, there is IPAs.
Look, we'll take the heavies with us, man.
Everywhere. Yeah, we can take them. We
gotta take some people that we know. Like we'll be able to enjoy all that Denver would have to offer.
Easy seeing Jaden Ivey on a finals court.
Yeah,
no, I'm joking. I'm joking. He would love it. He would love it.
He would need the Mad Packs.
Yeah, he would. He would. Nah, he would love it, man.
No, he would. I think that it's just. We all want our teams to be good, and that's always going to breed until they win that championship. A whole lot of questions and a whole lot of what we think this and the other. We did it with the 04 Pistons. Joe Dumars did it with the 04. He even went and traded for Rasheed Wallace in the middle of the season.
Yep.
And so it's like, I get it. I don't fault anybody who has their opinions for a team, that differs from mine after they've been down for over 15 years. I get it. At that point in time, it's just like, you know what? I hope that this team finds a way to get back to the top. I'm hoping that some of the criticisms or critiques or the things that keep people from really believing in this team and jumping all in, I'm hoping that those things go away this year because I do believe this is a team that's real. Look, bro, my article, the title, I was like, you know what? Skip it. No BBL. These Detroit Pistons are the real thing. That's what the title is. We had to take it from this pod, Platte.
We did.
It's in print now. It's gonna be published. Why? Because I do believe this team. No, I'm not gonna say I do it. This team is the real deal.
Mm-hmm.
This is not a flash in the pan. This is not a squad that's just playing well while other teams are trying to catch their stride. This is a real team that puts defense first, physicality, trying to win every loose ball, sharing the ball, beating you at points in the paint. We will bludgeon you. We will shoot better than you from field goal overall, even if you outshoot us from beyond the arc. That's crazy to me. Like, I'm so happy with the identity that we see being forged with this team. And that's why I say being forged, because they still have the opportunity, even with a guy like Ivy, to add to that identity in time. And they're doing it right. They usually, like you said, they got the luxury to, and they're doing it right. Bring him along slowly. Because Ivy's not just a guy who was already in rhythm this season, got injured, and is coming back this season. He's a guy who hasn't played basketball until these last few games since January 1st, bro. Almost a year. So, yeah. But let's get through the rest of this here. This box score. Caris LeVert, 14 points tonight, 5 of 9 from the floor, 3 of 4 3-point shooting for Caris LeVert. And I thought he did everything that he was supposed to. 2 steals as well on the defensive side. I really feel like Caris LeVert is one of those guys who almost looks like a cheat code in the fast break, man. It's like every time he had a fast break layup, it was down. And when he had his threes, obviously he made 75% of them tonight. Caris LeVert's a player who he'll give you those games or two where it makes Platte pull out his hair, and then he has one of those games where Platte saying, you know what, Michigan man, Caris LeVert, you're good by me. You make me love Michigan, man, Caris LeVert.
Let's talk about NBA Caris LeVert. Let's talk about NBA Caris LeVert.
All right, my Spartan dog, Platte.
Yeah, NBA Caris LeVert is a fine player, fine young man. He I've questioned his fit, and look, it's a night like tonight, Kool-Aid, where it really exemplifies. And there's just weird things about him, though. Like, and I don't want to, Kool-Aid, I don't want to nitpick because he was obviously essential to this Pistons team winning tonight. He was one of the only Pistons that brought forth a strap from beyond the arc. Shooting 3 threes or making 3 threes. But It was the 3 turnovers, the 3 missed free throws. Like, there's just little things about Karis LeVert's game where
You're
it's
not
just like
gonna.
it's up and downs, man. It's up and
I
down,
feel you.
and tonight is a
My
night
man
where,
Platte
look,
said, "I'm still not satisfied."
the good outweighed the bad, so I'll take tonight. Honestly, it's always gonna drive me
Wait,
crazy, but
hold on. If you put it on the scale, show me how much did it teeter? How much
how
did it
much did it
teeter?
teeter tonight? Oh,
Yeah.
it was considering it, the good was up here. The down is
Okay.
like,
Good. 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 Good.
yeah, like it's a difference of, some nitpicks. Again,
Ooh,
3 free throws, like
lights, my
shooting.
man.
It's just like Kool-Aid. That's weird. You hit 3 threes in a game, but you miss 3 free throws. Like, that's
Yeah.
just really, it's really weird. You
Hey, I'm
play,
good.
20 minutes, but get 3 turnovers. I think that there's just this, maybe he's just too much of a freelance artist, and that is kind
That's
of
what
what
he
you need.
is.
But
That's what he is. I think they're
it
taking
just
some of
it
the
drives me
good.
crazy, Kool-Aid.
They're trying to maximize the good with some of the bad. And
Yes.
that's where I believe the mistakes are going to be magnified for Karis LeVert. I see you in the chat, Jamoke 03. Karis LeVert's a frustrating player. He is. And why? It's because they're going to feast or famine with him. They know
Yes.
who he can be when he gets on the heater. When Karis LeVert is feeling himself, it's like, okay, all right. But it's almost at the edge of your seat, like, oh, sweet, he made it.
Mhm.
Oh, good, he made it. It's not like you're like, yeah, I know this is who Karis LeVert is. But in reality, that is the type of player he is.
Yeah.
And I think it's gonna make people frustrated, but ultimately he's a guy who, when your rotation is depleted, is where you're gonna see the most of a Karis LeVert. I think when the rotation is in sync, that's where I'm gonna be wondering to see who he's gonna be, because I just don't see where you get all the usage minutes. I
Mhm.
just don't see when you talking about Jaden Ivey, and then they announced today that Marcus Sasser has been assigned to the G League, the Motor City Cruise, the G League affiliate of the Pistons, to begin his rehab assignment. That's where it's like, where are you getting all these minutes? Where are you getting how many basketballs you got for all of these high usage guys?
Yes.
And so it's gonna be interesting to see, man, as it
Yeah.
relates to what they do with Karras, because he's gonna be another one of those guys that you're sitting here like, man, yo, he shot efficiently from the floor, but he made these mistakes, and
Yeah.
I get that. I can't even take that from you.
It's real quick before, to wrap up the Karis LeVert stuff, is that, um it's not like what JB said like a week or two ago now, when he said, look, this team is healthy now, we're getting everybody
Yeah.
back, but everybody has earned a shot at the rotation. And what did he do, Kool-Aid? He would play 10, 11, 12 people in the first half, and then that second half the rotation would shrink to 8. The tricky part about Karis LeVert that makes it such, like, kind of a little bit playing with fire, is that he will have, in a stretch, he will come in the first quarter and he will have an awful stretch. Like, I remember one game, I don't think it was Indiana. I'm trying to remember the team. Oh, it was Memphis. And he came in and he had 2 immediate turnovers and 2 missed shots. 0 for 2, went back to
Mhm.
the bench, and you're like, damn. But then that game, he ended up having a second stint, and that second stint doing really well. So he's not even one of those guys, Kool-Aid, that JB can look at in the first 5 minutes and be like, all right, I know what type of time you're on today. Today's your day. Like, you're good for the next half. Like, you just truly don't know with this player. And that's something that I find really tough, because we know those players, Kool-Aid. Like, there's a lot of players you can name where they come out, and the first 5 minutes of the game, you know exactly what you're getting for them. Oh, this is that night. This is
I,
that
I
night
think
they're gonna do their thing.
I think he's one of those guys that, like you said earlier, when you talk about that scale and how it teeters, he's one of those guys that you're grading on an audit. You can either get your A, B, C, D, E, F as it relates to your regular grades, or you can do a pass-fail audit. I think Karis LeVert, and sometimes you have to look at some of these players like that, is a pass-fail guy, because he is an NBA rotation guy, which is something that the Pistons had a hard time being able to field. You think about in the past, like they weren't able to even find talent up to his requisite level. So as long as they slot him appropriately in the rotation once fully healthy, I'm actually okay with who he is, because that's what it's going to be with Karras. That's the type of player he is. And he's the type of guy who, if he's on, cool, he can take up a lot of the usage for us, and he's going to be able to put a lot of pressure on the offense. He's going to draw fouls. So where he might have a couple turnovers, he's also going to crush the other team in the fast break. He's also going to knock down a couple threes. He's going to put some fouls on the other squad, and then he's going to get a couple steals too. And so it's like
Yeah.
it's an experience, and it's going to be times where the night is he missed all his threes. He tried three, RIP fadeaway, Kobe fadeaways from the free throw line. He had one move that looked real nice tonight, but the whole time I knew he's going to miss this. Why? Because almost every time I see him do that, drive hard, stop, and turn around to shoot at the free throw line, it just always hit front rim. I think seen him hit it once this season.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, there are times where it's like, ugh. But then I'm looking to see, all right, who you gonna be on defense? Who you gonna be here? Who you gonna be there? And I think that's, like I said, for the player we're about to talk about next. Hey, I'm about to put him up here. Mr. Ron Holland. Mo said, low key, I'm glad Ron Holland let it fly tonight. As these guys, you talk about what you don't appreciate out of the roller coaster or the ride that could be Karis LeVert. Sometimes we gotta look at our own guys. If Asar Thompson, Ron Holland, some of these other players doing what they're supposed to be doing, you're gonna see a little bit less of Karis LeVert. And so that, when this rotation gets healthy, when Ivy's getting his minutes, when Ron Holland is the dog, as consistently as we know him to be, that's when I believe that a guy like Karis LeVert is a player that then JB Bickerstaff can say, okay. Just like we saw the Pistons do with Dennis Jenkins. JB Bickerstaff, he is a respecter of who earned it and what's going to get a team the best opportunity to win. So shout out to Ron Holland. I see Aaron in the chat said the Ronster. I haven't heard that one yet, man. I haven't heard that one. The Ronster. Oh my gosh.
That's
so
crazy.
Many things you can say there. But Ron Holland, man, shout out to the young dog. 6 of 8 from the floor tonight. 1 of 2 from behind the arc for 17 points in 17 minutes, 6 rebounds. And he was one of those tone setters. We talk about Isaiah Stewart being a tone setter. Ron Holland was 2 steals as well as 3 offensive rebounds for the young fella, which means those things, those plays that you want to go out there and make sure you win. Because a loose ball could be, are you corralling your offensive rebound? Getting your team that just that much more of another possession. So these could have been possessions where they shot 20% from behind the arc, 19% from behind the arc. So they lost. They missed a lot of threes. This could have been nights. This could have been some of those rebounds where he's going in, minimizing the effects of missing a 3 by going and giving his team a second opportunity tonight, at a shot. And so you look at Ron Holland, you look at a guy who's gone there and giving his team 3 extra opportunities to score, taking away a couple opportunities from the Atlanta Hawks, and played tough defense as well to force them into some misses. The scoring is the thing that I can say, 17 points for him, but this guy's energy and his ability to be a disruptor. That's what I think Ron Holland is, especially when he's on his game, is a disruptor. The Atlanta Hawks flow just seems to change. It seemed to change every single time Ron Holland stepped out there on that court, man.
Yeah, I think Ron Holland is awesome. And you talk about like living and dying by it and it always being an experience. We mentioned Karis LeVert. Ron Holland is one that I am okay with consistently doing that because I just feel like the energy he brings every night, plus obviously
it's like unmatched.
Plus obviously I think he better than Karis LeVert, and that's something that they're different player types for sure, archetypes. But Ron doesn't force his shots. Like he just takes what is given to him that night. And this night happened to be a night where he was called upon to score 17 points, and he did, versus a game where he will gladly, Kool-Aid, there were games when he took 2 shots, 3 shots. Like he is somebody that is totally okay with 0 points or 20 points as long as he is out there positively impacting the team. And that is what he is always going to do pretty much every time he steps on the floor. So I am good with riding and dying by Ron Holland. I understand that LeVert is a different archetype player than Ron Holland, so it's not fair to hold him to that standard, but that would be what I would like to have, is the standard of just be positive in some way, shape, or form. And the other thing I'll say about Ron Holland, and this might upset some people because I love this player a lot, but I think we're getting to the point where we have to have a conversation, because if you put Ron Holland's finishing to Asar Thompson would be flirting with all NBA this season. Like Asar Thompson, man, he's dropped, I looked it up, Kool-Aid. He's dropped 12% in terms of his field goal percentage when he is 0 to 3 feet from the rim. 12%. He is 233rd this year at finishing among at the rim, which is well below the league average. So he has been really bad, and it is something that we definitely need to monitor going forward. But I don't want to make this too much about Asar. I just want to put that out there so that we can continue to go back to it as the season progresses and prove to be either right or wrong. Hopefully wrong on that. And Ron Holland, though, he is just how many? It didn't matter whether he was fouled, whether he wasn't, whether they called the foul, they didn't call foul. He was finishing everything at the rim, man. He is just an absolute menace around the rim. His finishing, again, that was not to knock Asar by any means. That's just an important conversation to have about an important piece in Asar. But Ron Holland, man, what he does finishing at the rim is just phenomenal, man. And then he gave you a 3 tonight too, and you're just like, huh, what more could I ask for? Like this, like the fruits are bountiful today when Ron Holland is giving you a 3 and finishing at the rim like this. It's just a great night.
Yeah, man, and I thought the other 3 was gonna go in as well, man. He had good form on it, good patience on it, took a good shot, and it just didn't go down. But that's what you want to see out of him, man. Ron Holland was an absolute problem tonight, in my opinion. I believe that it helps with Ron Holland because he had so many usage opportunities with the G League Ignite. That was one of the things that drew me to him, why I placed him in my top 10 on my draft board. If you guys go back and look at our draft coverage on What Was Sports via Woo Crew at the time, that was the thing. We were tracking this. And on the day of the draft, I actually moved Ron Holland up my draft board to like 6 or 7 in terms of most likely players that the Pistons were going to be able to pick. We're going to pick. And it was interesting when they did pick him because my mind instantly went from, dag, we need a shooter, to let's make sense of this thing. What is it that they're seeing? And the thing that I loved about Ron Holland was this: his defensive motor never turns off. His hustle motor never turns off. And his ability to shoot a high percentage everywhere else on the court except for behind the arc was impeccable. He was like one of the best players at finishing everywhere, like inside the arc. And so I was like, you know what? All right. Or everything inside the 3-point arc. So I was like, you know what? Let's see what he's going to do, man, because he had good handles. He had the ability to get to anywhere he wanted to get to on the court. He had athleticism. And like you always talk about, his ability to finish. And so we see that on display here. I always thought that's why he was going to have a good time in the NBA, an easy time translating before he gets his full offensive bag, because the NBA spacing allows for his types of players to be able to thrive. And so as long as he's going out there and doing the things he knows he can control, and he talked about this at the press conference tonight, and that's the defense, that's the hustling, that's the rebounding, that's bringing the energy, that's make sure every time he steps out there, they're not like, oh, wait, what? That's not Ron energy. No, he knows every single night is to bring it like that. As long as he does that, he's going to go out there and have an impact and be effective for this team night after night after night. You don't have to worry about Asar. Yeah, is he on or off? Asar Thompson is always revved up. Always. I mean, Ron Holland.
Yes. Yeah. And that's what you love about Ron, and that's what makes him so vital, is because look, there is a lot of great things that Asar brings to the table. So I don't want to knock that. And it's great that Ron can kind of be, some of that if it's not Asar having a good night. There's just a lot of depth on this team, and I know that's overstated. We talk about it all the time, but this is a prime example of why it's so valuable, is because maybe this was a night, if you don't have Ron Holland, that Asar has to shoot 10 shots instead of 4. And the conversion rate, does that end up being the difference between a win and a loss? I don't know. This is hypothetical that we can't really know, but we can kind of explore the idea of it. And I'll tell you, I'm grateful to have the option of whether it be Karis LeVert or Jay Nivey, who's having the better game, Asar or Ron Holland, who's having the better game, Isaiah Stewart or Tobias Harris, who's closing at the 4. Like, I love the fact that this Piston team can do this, and this is why they are going to win a lot of games. This is why they have won a lot of games. This is why they're going to continue to win a lot of games, is because this depth and everybody understanding their role and being able to do more than what they are asked for regularly. Like just the overall, refinement that this team has is just
Oh
is
yeah,
so spectacular.
and their big playability. You don't win the games they've won this year without showing some moxie and
Right.
ability to play in that fourth quarter. And this hasn't just been Cade. We've seen other players go out there and knock down big shots and have big games in the fourth, like Tobias Harris, like Dennis Jenkins early in this season. Like Duncan Robinson. We've seen players go out there and have big quarters. And that to me is what I love about this Pistons team. So as we're talking about, is this Pistons team real? Who they're going to be in the grand scheme of things? I believe what we're seeing right now is the makings of a squad that's playing for May, June, and a little bit later, maybe. Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
it's a little bit different. Like I feel like this squad is playing with a championship pedigree, and Kay Cunningham said that, like in his interview with Kevin Durant, and in the interviews at Media Day, he stated, "Bro, like we really are trying to win championships." It doesn't seem like Kay Cunningham signed that contract and was like, "Cool, I'm good, I'm gravy, I'm in Detroit, I'm the best thing since sliced bread named Grant Hill." Like
Yeah.
he's not doing that. He's sitting here saying, "I got that bread, bro. I owe this now."
Yeah.
And you know what I love? That he don't feel like he owe it to the Pistons organization. He feel like he owe it to himself. That's how this
Mhm.
team is cut. Does he know what he has to do for this organization? 100%. But the fact that Cade Cunningham is not going to feel like a winner unless he goes out there and wins championships, that to me should make everybody that much more comfortable. Because you know why? It's not just him. This whole squad feeling like that. Is this Cade? No. He know he can write that check. And that's what I love. We got a star who wants to go out there and cash it. We got everybody from your star player down to your lead role player in Ron Holland, your lead hustle guy saying, look, bro, we want to do everything we can to win games here and to bring home the ultimate prize. That's what this
Absolutely.
squad is, man. And you see it already. The number 4 team in the NBA defensive rating wise, they have played 21 games now. The Rockets, who they're tied with, have only played 17 games, so that is probably going to be the Pistons sitting alone at fourth, maybe even climbing up there a little bit. But top 5 team defensively. And it showed up tonight in a game where they won 99-98. Nobody scored 100. The Pistons had multiple times to
Yeah.
break that 100-point barrier, but they did miss some free throws, which we talk about turnovers and free throws. Pistons, you got to get it together. Y'all got big aspirations this year. But
Yep.
any last words from you, Platte, before we say goodnight to the people? Because they shutting down and they about to turn off these lights soon.
Listen, I don't got nothing else to say, man. We've really talked about it all. This was a bit of a longer stream, but this is what happens when you and I don't get to talk ball for like 3 days.
Yeah,
Like
miss you, man. Happy
we get
holidays and everything.
man. Yeah, happy holidays to you and yours, man. And I'm excited to log back in on these Pistons streams here. But yeah, I said all I need to say, man. I got the things I'm gonna monitor moving forward. I've made my amends with Karis LeVert. I feel like I did what I needed to do today. I feel like I accomplished all that I
You
set out
feel
to. All
lighter
that I
now. You
owed the
just got it
people.
out and you feel like you can breathe and
Yeah.
you can like walk your dog and your cat
Yeah.
now and
Man,
everything's
I'm
good.
telling you, shout out to all the chat. That'll be my closing remark. Is shout out to all of the chat family for rocking with us. No, the Pistons aren't on a winning streak right now, but this could be a start of one. This could be a start of
Hey,
one. So make sure you are locking in every
before you
single game.
before you go, give me your MVP of the game, your player of the game, and
Okay.
your unsung hero, your unsung
Okay.
player.
Okay. The unsung hero, I'll go Stu, because I think that, it's very easy to give it to Ron Holland for what he did tonight, but I think of unsung and that just screams everything Isaiah Stewart does every game. So I feel like that should just be the Isaiah Stewart award. That's like that's what it is. MVP tonight. You gotta go, Cade. I mean, he was making the plays down the stretch. The stocks were incredible. 8 stocks is just absolutely nuts. How often do you say, Kool-Aid, that your best player and the player that your entire offense is built around is the defensive anchor that night and the best defender? Oh, and guess what? He had a teammate that got 5 blocks, and he's still not the best defender. Like, Cade
Yeah,
Cunningham won this game off defense. Think about how crazy that is for your number one. Go through all the number ones in the NBA right now. Who of them, outside of what? Maybe Wemby, you're saying will win you a game off of their defense, not their offense. Like that, it was just a spectacular night for Cade Cunningham, a very special night, a reason why this Pistons organization is in such a good place. So Cade is my MVP. My unsung hero is Isaiah Stewart. Just great defense overall tonight.
Yeah. And for me, it's Cade Cunningham as well as it relates to MVP of the game. What he did there in the fourth quarter, what he did to get the 8 stocks. You want to see those turnovers come down. Yeah. But overall, his imprint was starts on this game. And you can feel it even a little bit more when he decided he wanted to press the issue offensively. But I am going to give it to Ron Holland. He's the guy they sent to the podium tonight. He's the guy whose energy I thought when he came in, it just changed things in a game that needed every aspect of intrinsic benefit as possible. So I'm going to give it to Ron Holland. I like the fact that his scoring was because he was out there hustling. When you see 17 points, it wasn't because he was out there hunting for his, but really because he was getting the extra offensive rebound, hustling, turning defense to offense. And that's ultimately, you don't go wrong with any of these players you mentioned tonight, whether it's Stu, Holland, and there's probably other players out there who can say, you know what, I like what this player contributed. Some people look at Dennis Jenkins, who I don't believe got overshadowed in the moment, though you don't want to see him miss 8 3-pointers either. So,
yeah,
you know what? Shout out to those Detroit Pistons. Wasn't a perfect night. They still found a way to get it done and get another dub. They moved to 17-4 on the season. They are up 3 games, bro. 3 games over the closest team, which is the Knicks. And that is, if you look at the teams underneath the Knicks, that is the largest lead between, 2 teams. So the Detroit Pistons are doing things, man.
And keep in mind, I saw a lot of Knicks chatter this week because Brunson got Player of the Week. So I hear a lot of Knicks fans puffing their chest all the way down there in the standing. I had to look down to see them, but when I saw them, I saw they were talking a lot about the Pistons and Cade Cunningham. So New York, keep our name in your mouth. This D ain't going nowhere. Pause.
You telling me that the New York Knicks are the Detroit Pistons eaters? Never mind. Let me stop. Let me stop, bro. Because let me just say this. One thing I am seeing now, I'm seeing some of these players who are getting physical and pushing. I know Fears when did the whole head-to-head things with Luka Doncic the other night. And you know what I'm seeing pop up underneath these highlights? That I only used to see maybe, when people would talk about the bad boys. And, try that against the Pistons. It's back. Back. It's back. That reputation of what the knowing when you step up against the court, what the Pistons are going to bring. Seeing fans on YouTube, Twitter, or X, or whatever you want to call it, and some of these social media platforms talk about, he ain't going to do that, but try it against teams like the Pistons and OKC. It's like, ooh. Because when the Pistons struck fear in other fans is when you understood how real it was, man. Yeah. When you see them going out there and their whole team's under 100 again, it's like, that's right, man. So shout out to Pistons for making physical sexy again.
Shout out.
You don't know what to do with that one.
Man. I think it says it all. It says it all. What's that?
I said they're bringing defense back. They're bringing back literally mid 2000s, early late 90s basketball.
Oh yeah,
no 3-point shooting, all in the paint.
I love it, man. Look, I love where the NBA is at. People complain about the NBA. I love it because you got teams that gun threes. You got teams that play like the Pistons. You got, for everybody that said the NBA is all just the same basketball, everybody's doing the same things. No, they are not. Look around. You got a bunch of different teams built a bunch of different ways. It's fun to watch. And the way the Pistons are built has them at the top of the NBA, so can't be mad at it.
Hey, let's rock. Well, you know what? One more look at the court before we go. This is
City Edition.
Boy. Hey, you know what? Ball Nor Platte. That's Chris Platte over there. You can find him on the heavyweights Monday through Friday, 5 to 7. He is their TD, as well as I see the Rap Cave there.
Yes,
shout out to Platte, man. You guys need to make sure you follow them. Where else can they find you, man?
Everywhere on all the socials. I have it right there in the name at Platte Pods. And yeah, again, catch me on the Woodward Sports and Woodward Heavyweights every Monday through Friday, 5 to 7, and Rap Cave on the weekends. Man, and Woodward basketball. Man, I'm trying to be everywhere. We got NBA show coming cool. We got a lot of stuff.
Let's rock.
I'm gonna be everywhere, man. Talking hoops, talking music, man. I love it. And I'm seriously, all jokes aside, I'm glad that we're able to do this stream because the last couple games
Yeah.
not being able to stream, like it just
You
kind
feel
of
it.
it just kind of like it kicked me back into high gear and I'm ready to go. So I'm excited, man. We got a long season ahead of us, but it looks to be, again, my word of the day, bountiful for the Detroit Pistons.
Definitely, definitely. You know what, man? It's your boy Brandon, aka DetroitKoolAid, your credential Pistons reporter and writer for the network. We appreciate you guys for being here and for supporting this stream, man. And you can support your boy at DetroitKoolAid on the social platforms. Make sure you guys go tap in with Wilbur Pistons too. We'll be getting things going there soon. And Wednesday, we got the Bucks. I see Jesse Woodward in the chat asks who's next.
Shout out.
It is the Bucks on Wednesday. And I think that this is a sneaky good matchup here. The Bucks are 9-13 on the year, but let's see what goes down. Then after that, they got the Trailblazers, who are 8-12. Then the Bucks again on Saturday, who are 9-13, and that's the game that you will be at, right, Platte?
Yes, I'll be there Saturday, December 6th.
So if you're in the building, y'all better hit us up, man. Let's get some content. We want to see you guys halftime or even before the game. I'll probably set up and get some content with Platte out there on the concourse, and we're gonna have some fun, man. We really want to hear from you guys. So tap in with me 2 to 4, Monday through Friday. Brendan Edwards Show with Shep, only on Woodward Sports, Woodward Pistons, Woodward Basketball, my homie here. Thank you guys. Smash that like button before you get out here. The Pistons won again. Shout out G-Mac Cash and those Detroit Pistons. JB Bickerstaff for Coach of the Year.
Yes, sir.
Holla at your boy. It's been Woodward Sports, man. Let's ride. Go Pistons.
Peace.